Hi YouTube, it's Yashi. In a YouTube world full of negativity, I would like to focus on the data for once. And if you start looking at it, things might look much better than people actually say. So many media and creators have been focusing on the demand of housing, which have been crushed lately as interest rates have been going up and home prices didn't really move down a lot. The question is why? In this video, we'll focus on the why home prices haven't moved and why I believe they might be actually ready to go back up. In this video, we'll first debunk the argument about crippling demand and how I don't think it's that low as people say, then start talking about inflation and what the Fed might do in the short-term future, to then go on the final side of the demand and supply, let's say, formula, which is the supply side, which in my opinion will be the reason that will lead the market to go back up again in the short-term future. But before we start, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment. I might do a video about it or just respond to it as soon as I can. Demand, for those who don't know what it means, is simply how many people want to buy a specific item. In this case, a house. If we were to put this on a graph, it is a pretty simple concept. The lower the price, the more people are in the market to buy. The higher the price, the less people are likely to buy. Plenty of the creators claiming that there will be a real estate crash use this concept here to explain how historical high interest rates and historical high home prices have priced out a lot of buyers, bringing demand down. They then continue saying that if less people are in the market to buy, the homes that are for sale now will stay on the market for longer, and if you add in the new homes that are being put for sale every month, the inventory will be bigger and bigger, and home sellers will be forced to drop prices to incentivize people to buy, or else they will never sell. While generally speaking the concept is correct, and yes, demand has been going down, the question is, how much did demand actually go down? Most homes are being bought by first-time home buyers through a mortgage. And if we look at this article on Fortune, it basically says that mortgage applications fell 38.4% compared to last year, and that we are at the same levels we saw in terms of mortgage applications in 2014. While on paper this sounds very bad, we need to analyze what was happening in 2014. I mean, we were 6 years post 2008 financial crisis. Interest rates were pretty much half as much as they are today, and the general sentiment was very positive. There was a recovery going on. If you reinterpret the whole thing, today's situation is not that bad, because if you compare the two situations, you have home prices that are much higher, interest rates that are double what they used to be, market sentiment that sucks, and we have the same amount of demand that we had in 2014. I mean, it means that there is a lot of demand for people to get out of rent and buy a house, in my interpretation. And in my opinion, this sort of debunks the whole article of Fortune. Now onto the Fed and inflation. If you haven't been living under a rock, you might know that the Fed has been increasing interest rates to make debt more expensive and disincentivize people to consume like crazy, because as we know, Americans love using their credit card. The Fed has two jobs. Number one is keeping unemployment at a good level, and number two is taming inflation. Their rate increases have been hurting the market a lot, but until we don't see inflation going down or the job market being crushed completely, this trend will keep on going. The latest job report showed that we have all-time best employment in history, and inflation seems not to be going down soon. So are we doomed? I don't think so. The Fed does not look at full inflation. They look at what they call core inflation, which is inflation of all goods minus energy and food. Why so? Because energy and food fluctuate all the time. They're not only based on consumption, they're based on production and what the market charges. Now, if we go on the government website and look at core inflation, you'll be able to see the different factors that make up core inflation. And you'll notice that one of the biggest factors that influence inflation a lot has been transportation lately. During the pandemic, supply chain got extremely bad, and this had an effect all the way into 2022. I was personally affected by this because I had to ship goods back to Italy, and I paid 3 times more what I paid before the pandemic. Container rates from, for example, China to Los Angeles went all the way up to 9.5 $25,000 in June. But you know where they're now? They're around 2.5 thousand. That's basically a 70% decrease on that cost. Freight companies don't have that bargaining power anymore, and trucking companies are starting to see the same issue too. Theoretically speaking, with Christmas and Thanksgiving, we are in peak season for the trucking industry now, and CEOs are not seeing the same amount of orders they saw in the past couple of years in the same, let's say, magnitude. And they're kind of worrying because they were expecting a lot of traffic that is not there. Transportation, people, is based on consumption. If people are not placing orders, people are not, let's say, forecasted to consume a lot. The transportation business is not thriving a lot. And what we're seeing here, basically, is the consequence of decreased consumption or decreased forecasted consumption. Another two factors that are starting to see lower prices are used cars, which is interesting as the past 2 years we saw booming car market, as well as construction material costs. Lumber, when I started building the house that you saw me building on my YouTube shorts, lumber was at $9 for every 2x8. Now it's at 2. That's quite a big discount. I cannot go through all sectors. If we specifically focus on transportation, which is very correlated to consumption, we can definitely see that we have an expected large decrease in consumption. Will it appear on the next inflation report, CPI, not the PCE that came out today, or will it appear on the one after the next? I don't know this. Remember, inflation data is a lagging indicator. The reports we see are from last month, not of today. But if these trends continue, it will pop up in these inflation reports, and the Fed might have the grounds to start slowing the rate hikes or even stop them, or best case scenario, even pivot and go back into lowering interest rates. This is not financial advice, always do your research, but I'm putting out some data that I found. Now on to supply, the main reason why the market did not crash. I recently posted a video. I'm kind of sad about it because I accidentally deleted it 2 days ago, especially because it was performing well, where I showed some data that I created about home supply and how it is actually showing that it's going down. Fortunately, I did not lose the graphs I built, and I built these by going on the Zillow API. You can go on the Zillow website and have access to a lot of their data. It's not the data of the entire market like you would find from the National Association of Realtors, but Zillow is the biggest data company when it comes to real estate, so you can at least see market trends. And this is where it gets really interesting. Let's start out with inventory. When in 2021, the media was saying that we didn't have enough inventory for the demand that we got, probably because of the low loan interest rates, they were totally right. And it is still the case now. It's actually even worse than before. But strangely, analysts kept on saying that with lower demand, this inventory will start to skyrocket, bring up supply, and because of the demand and supply curve, as I told you in the beginning of the video, home prices would have been dropping. The prediction might have been correct in the first 2 months of the interest rate hikes we saw. The Fed started raising rates in March, April 2022, and we saw a big influx of both buyers and sellers. Buyers wanted to lock in a good interest rate before it would explode, and sellers wanted to sell their house as quickly as possible, fearing there will be a recession because the interest rate will go up. So yeah, if you look at the data, from March all the way to August, supply went up higher than the normal seasonal, let's say, hike that you see. But then again, it plateaued towards August and September. And if you look at the graph, it's looking like it might start to go back down again. And if we look at inventory trend, the number looks even worse. Inventory today is 35% lower than it was in 2018. That is not even pre-pandemic, that is pre-pandemic. On top of that, we know that builders, scared builders, halted all their construction projects on stuff that hasn't been started yet. So in terms of new home supply for sale, we know that new construction will not be there for a while. All of the new listings that are coming up is current homeowners that are selling to upgrade to a new house. And again, if we look at new monthly listings, this confirms that home supply will actually go down even more. As you can see, the amount of new listings went up all the way to August, and now it's going down a lot faster than normal. Most of these new inventory listings, again, as I said, were coming from owners that wanted to upgrade to a new house. But since these people locked in historically good interest rates in the past 5 years, why would they need to upgrade to a new house with twice the interest rate? It's stupid. There's no incentive to them to upgrade. So For sellers, there's a disincentive to sell a house on which they locked in a good interest rate. There's no construction. And on top of that, renters want to still buy a house because rents are going up at an unprecedented pace. And I've experienced this trend firsthand in a city I'm investing in, namely Lynchburg. At the beginning of when I started, which was April 2022, there were 200 homes for sale in Lynchburg. Fast forward today, it's only 135. That is a large reduction in inventory. If sellers keep on being disincentivized to sell as they cannot upgrade to a house because mortgages are too expensive and there's no other house to upgrade to, the shortage between demand and supply will widen even more. And with rents going up again, even if housing is more expensive, it makes it even more worth to own a home instead of renting, because all that extra money you're paying at least is going into your own equity rather than paying somebody else's mortgage. So renters are still incentivized to buy, homeowners are not incentivized to sell, the gap is widening, and yes, while it's getting more expensive to own, the market is kind of setting itself up for another huge bull run as soon as the Fed stops raising rates or starts dropping them again. Why? Because this gap is becoming larger and larger and larger. As soon as buying is incentivized again, we will have this shrinking inventory for a huge amount of renters who want to get out of rent, and it will make the market explode. So what will happen? I mean, this is kind of my own opinion. I cannot predict the future, but the data is showing a trend that the media is not talking about. So based on this, I don't believe that the housing market will move down. If it will be by a tiny percentage. But as soon as the Fed will pivot or stop, the market has been set itself up for a huge bull run. On top of that, every month that builders are not building, the difference between home supply and home demand will widen even more. So this is a scary moment. You see a couple of people talking out there about how houses will become less and less affordable the more we go on. I don't want to be an alarmist, but I sort of agree with that. Of course, that's my opinion, not financial advice, but the data kind of backs it up. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope this gave you a different perspective about what is happening on the housing market. And I mean, generally speaking, what I said is actually positive if you own a house, but it should alarm you if you are thinking about buying a house or if you're waiting for the crash to happen, because maybe it never will in that perspective. Again, my opinion, do your research, but I showed you some data. Hope this gave you some better insights. If you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe, and if you have questions, please leave a comment. I will respond to you as soon as I can. Ciao.